and hide out in there. Remember, escape is the gateway to go into the interior. So persons passing through there, coming from Bokal, from 70K, the different areas come down into Essequibo, they pass through by the Cameroon. Different angles they're coming in from. So you always have to be on the alert. Some might slip you and some may not.
And most time, good policing would be able
Yeah.
to find them. Now, you did mention that one of the main things is the break and enter that uh, pervades in that region. One other thing that we see, and I don't know if you want to make an appeal about it or so, but it's across the country that it is happening. But if it is, you can maybe talk about it and address it. Ever so often, maybe domestic violence issues or what's not, and then it leads to suicide that is happening. Whilst not that much reports are coming from your region, albeit there's still some suicide that happens. So if you to compare maybe last year to this year, the same period, what would you say is the rate, and what would you tell persons who are even thinking about it?
Last year we had about 3 suicides coming out from the Cameroon River. This year so far we don't have any suicide. But what happened, I have one Sergeant Caravan. She's in charge of the gender base over there, the regional gender base affair committee. Likewise, she's head of the domestic violence committee in Essequibo. So what they do now, that persons on lockdown, you will find domestic violence would be on the rise. Because husband in a custom staying home, wife in a custom seeing husband, husband in a custom seeing children playing and getting on bad. Some husband accustomed to going there helping their wives and so. And then property also play a great part in domestic violence. And what I notice along some region, we have a rise in the rape cases. So what we do now that persons are in, the police along with blossoming, the gender bear, the human affairs, all of us come together. We have a committee there. We will go to the various committee, talk to the parents, talk to the children. Because now what you find in some area, we know that father sleeps with daughter, sleep with granddaughter, sleep with mother, and they think it is okay. So they go out into the area and teach them at a tender age. It's not right. It's not good. So when you sensitize the people there, you talk to them also domestic violence, you talk about rape. Up to last week they were out there at Kapui where they had meetings with the residents there, likewise the children. We invite the husband to come along, but they just don't want to sit. I don't know why men must be afraid to attend meetings. So you gotta go and reach them, you gotta talk to them. But the domestic violence in our community not that high.
All right. Whilst that is so, and I know, as you rightly said, which is kudos again to you and the policing that you do. Maybe even some of the the counseling that happens
Yeah,
because of the collaboration that happens. But you've also got this situation where it happens in other regions, and then it is reported, and people are seeing. And one of the things I know that we're particularly concerned about is persons not being informed as to what methods a person would have used to take their life, because that might be able to say to them, well, hey, I can try this, if it is that they're considering. um, and whilst I know the Ghana Police Force has been responsible in putting out the information about
yeah,
suicides, there are those who, for example, whether it's some news entity or someone with a videotape that records something, and then they put it out in social media, or they just put the raw data there, and those things can have impact on people.
yeah,
Some don't seem to understand, and they figure that when you try to tell them they should not do this, is that you want to suppress their freedom of information, they call it.
exactly.
What would you say to them, Commander?
Um, well, stand for me, rape. I don't like people putting out rape cases there. And any reporter could tell you, if they call me on any rape case, somebody might leak it. I tell them I would not discuss it because you have to put yourself in a victim's shoe. And once you discuss it and you put the information out there, and you put the perpetrator name and address, eventually somebody will know, find out is why my son get arrested, why Miss Robinson's son get arrested, and then somebody can say, oh, here he raped Mary daughter. Remember, sometimes it's a child still going to school, still going out there, and it's like you're raping her all over again. I encourage my colleagues not to entertain rape cases and putting them out in the press. I entertain, if you notice with my rape case, until they reach to the High Court and study there, until they're being convicted, then I put out a statement there, and I don't ever mention the victim name. You understand? Because persons could shut down. As human beings, you would shut down so quickly. As a child, you go to school, somebody, parents might be discussing it when the child goes to school next morning. Here is Miss Robinson daughter get raped, or pointing to the child or something. The child now tends to commit suicide. You understand? Sometimes persons in home, persons like who are being raped by a father, by a brother, by an uncle. You understand? The news get out there. Child shame to go on the road. Next thing you know, this is it's best I take my life, commit suicide. You understand? Some persons cannot handle depression. And we need counselors to go out there and advise persons about depression. Because simple things, somebody might want a new shoe, a new hat, a new bag. They can't get it, they take on. You know, nobody's paying attention to me. They can't take the word wait. Mankind, you can't tell him about wait on something, we don't have the money now. They think as parents that you should always be ready. You should always have money. Wives look to their husband. And I was telling a family last week, I went up to Mashabo Hills. Is it a case, you know, person said, domestic violence, she getting beat, she coming and complaining, making no report. But remember, sometimes the husband is a sole breadwinner. And in certain areas, a woman might get 8 or 9 children. Who would take care of them? We have nothing that you could go to and the government will give you food to eat a supply for a whole year whilst your husband is incarcerated there. Nobody does that. So they're saying she continued to get legs. Remember, she ain't able. She can't leave her children now to go and look a job. Who would look at 9 children for her? And sometimes we said treaders. She have them in treaders. What will happen? Who would take care of them? Who would secure? Although if a man comes home on the influence of alcohol, you're feeling safe that you know there's a male figure around. You understand? But that doesn't say that a man has a right to hit a woman. Because I just say eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Because if you slap me, I slap you back. You understand? But most
You're
women
serious,
are
big
not going to believe. Right.
You have the physical size that you could do that too, you know, Commander. Some women are very petite, so and you know, big strong man like this gentleman in the studio here, or cameraman, they
It's
might
not the
hesitate.
size.
Exactly.
It's not the size, it's the mind. You have to have the mindset. Yeah, so when you go to persons home with domestic violence, because every time we get a domestic violence report, Mr. Caravan gather our team and they go and do a little pet talk with them. Gather persons around, you talk to them, you tell them the way to go, because you know that men, you have some men, since you tell them about lockup and they reach into the lockups, they commit suicide in the lockups. They commit suicide
And then that
because
puts the police in trouble. You hear that you didn't
exactly,
hear them, right?
exactly. Some people just can't get accustomed to being incarcerated. And once the man here lock up, like a shockwave gone to his brain already, it's best I kill myself. Because I know what them police gonna do with me.
You know, suicide and the domestic violence issues, or and even well, sexual offenses issues
Yeah,
in general, are very sensitive issues that are guided by laws and legislation in place to
exactly.
protect victims. And in so doing, a further step of protecting victims is also to not, as you mentioned, not releasing the names also of the perpetrators.
Yeah,
Not until most likely, as you did say, a trial
reach
commences
to the high court.
in the High Court. Obviously, the perp's name will be released because it's public knowledge during trial.
Exactly.
But what we have, and I wanted you to be able to, from your legal law enforcement perspective, what would you say to those media operatives who are saying that you are suppressing the information when you're not giving them the details of such an incident that occurs?
No, well, when they call me, I tell them I'm not reporting on no sexual violence, no domestic violence, because I don't want people to be out there because, like, you're beating the woman, not physically, but you're beating the woman all over again. You're raping the child all over again, and I'm not giving you any information. I don't even send rape messages to Georgetown. I don't. I always keep it together because you don't know the mind of a person, and especially to say the young people. You don't know their mind. And when you gonna put it out there, some people got it on Facebook and all the Instagram and all the medias you could think about. What is it happening to us? Where the society really going? We're not caring for nobody. We just want to get the news to put out there. But you have to remember someone is suffering silently. You understand? And now that we have the paper committal, first you could go through with the rape when you take your victim to the hospital, the doctor proof penetration, you put it before the court. But now we have the paper committal, which gives you a time span that you could investigate. So when you investigate now, you still have to send for advice. When the advice come back, then you charge and put before the court. Once the DPP is satisfied with the file, she advised to charge. When the person go before the court, most likely they're placed on bail. So when they go out there now, and one man was saying like, look, why the police fighting me down? The young lady didn't even turn up in the court. This is not like long time. Now the paper committal, the victim don't have to go to the small court unless they wish to do that. Because the paper committal cater for everything concerning the victim. Or the high court, if you wish to make a statement, she could go give her evidence. You understand? So now it's a vast difference because years ago we used to differentiate the various sexual offenses. You have rape, you have burglary, you have touching of the private parts and so. But now, come the paper committal come into being, anything now is rape. And persons even say if you touch somebody, not until when you go to court, then the magistrate will be able to explain to you with look, you have touched somebody private parts, you have affected somebody, you have had sex with somebody against their will. So now that is why I'm saying it's a very sensitive now because one of the laws guiding with the sexual offensive, even if somebody but your house is high and somebody bathroom is low and you peep through your window through the person there you see them bathing, it's rape. You understand? The sexual offenses now is so timid. So we gotta be careful.
And given what you're sharing, how is the education drive? I know it's not necessarily the police's enforcement of the laws that are set. And one of the arguments that most persons hear, they say they hear, is that ignorance of the law um, does not exculpate you from the effects of it. Not because you don't know of something, but in your estimation, do you believe that there's much education, particularly in sexual offenses, uh, that is out there, and so that persons can actually make sure that they, some of the things that they might think is innocent, which can be an offense, that they would desist from doing?
I don't think the education is out there. Um, you see, you have so many entities involved now with rape cases. Years ago, it just used to be the police and the welfare officer. But now you got Blossom Inc., you got Human Services, Child Care, different persons got to interview the victim, do what they have to do before we come up with this file. That is why we have a 6 month period to investigate. So whilst you're getting all your documentation together to think. So that is why now I'm saying child care, human services, the police need to go out there, need to do programs, need to go more in the community and sensitize people because look at this one. If you have a camera set up and it's pointing in my bedroom, and I feel that you could see me when I go into my bedroom, and like one time, two time you watch it, I could go and report you and get your camera removed. So sometimes you have your camera there for protection, but how it is placed in a position that you could see me in my bedroom or see me walking some, because women at large love to walk around half naked. And if I feel that your camera there is violating my rights, I could go and make a report under the Sexual Act. So people needs to be sensitized of what is going on.
And they need to read up the acts
Yeah.
or those pieces of legislation.
Yes, it is out there now.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is out there now.
All right, 21 hours 41. The police and you. Caller, a very good evening to you.
Good night, Stan, and good night to the commander.
Yes.
Yes, I just called to congratulate her. I like her concern about almost everything that she said. Security, sanitizing, the COVID, get the officers vaccine, the children and rape, the bad guys, she know them because she worked at the courts for many years. Congratulations to her. Heads up to she.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. You just congrats. You don't have any question at hand for her, though. Oh, he's gone already. Anyway. So congrats to you there, Commander, from one of the callers. You have your fans everywhere, my dear. No, but on this, on the, in the same vein of this conversation, one of the things a gentleman is saying that this law as it relates to sexual offenses seems to favor only women because a woman can actually go to the police station and make a report, and that man is promptly picked up. He's arrested and charged, and he most likely is detained for a period of time whilst an investigation is ongoing. The part that he is concerned about is that if it is that that woman is found to be lying or mischievous in her report because she just wanted to get at him, uh, he would have lost some time by being behind bars, being detained, and nothing appears to be done to her.
Stan, that is why we have 6 months to do that. 6 months we got now, like for us within 72 hours we charge. We have 6 months to verify or report. Once you come to the station, that was saying not just the police dealing with it now. When you come to the police, we take an initial statement, take you there. Once we're taking you to the hospital, we have to have somebody from the child care protection to go along with the police. When we finish, you go to Blossom Inc. When you do the FI, the forensic interview. And when they finish grilling you, they know whether you're telling the truth or you're telling lies. But look, you have persons go for the FI, and sometime they had sex, last had sex with Stan. Now they ask you're underage, who and who you had sex with, and they start calling various names years back. Well, to the statutory years, we could bring you back and charge you. So now you will find 4 or 5 persons being charged to the one young lady because the rape and person you say she had sex before, it doesn't matter. Once you had sex with her, you rape her against her will. You understand? And I normally say men, especially men, they are prey to weak victims because I can't understand if a person in a right in mind gonna rape a 1-year-old, a 5-year-old, a couple months, when they start fingering the children, then they go down having sex, putting the penis playing with them. That is wrong. I think they need counseling, honestly. And we need to start counseling our perpetrators for rape. Let them know what they're doing is not right. Because sometimes when you interview people, that happened to them whilst they were small. And they feel it's okay for the pattern to carry on. Nobody there to counsel them. And then you used to find years ago, one time the police talking to people, but you need continuous counseling for person to get over the trauma.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that because uh, being the enforcers of the law, uh, one of the things that obviously that you highlighted there that is necessary is to get to the root cause of the issue,
Yeah,
and the mentioning of counseling that is needed to be able to get into the minds as to why, where, when, how. And many psychologists actually bear you out in this, that it is sometimes a situation of the past that
exactly.
is coming full circle. And therefore, sometimes when we just lock that person up or we throw the book at them, uh, what happens is that it just frees the society for that period of time that they're incarcerated from that individual, but it doesn't deal with the issue that would have happened.
No, well, I just tell people in natural justice act say every man has a right to be heard. Even say if I commit a crime, I need you to listen to me because I might have reason for do what I'm doing. So you have to listen to me, pay attention, try not to cut me out. Just listen to me and advise as you go along.
Quite an interesting perspective. We got another caller online. A very good evening to you, caller.
A very good evening to you, sir, and a very good evening to the lady officer. Um,
Commander Robinson.
what?
Her name is Commander Robinson.
Commander Robinson. I came on a little late.
That's all right.
What I would like to find out is that is Guyana such a good place that, I mean, we talk about rape and we talk about men raping youngsters and babies and stuff. But I haven't heard the commander or I haven't heard anyone, including the judicial system for a long time or for never, say anything about women raping men or raping young men or boys as such. I haven't heard things. So it's either in Guyana we have very good women, and I think women are good. They're mothers, they look after people, but there are some women that do take advantage both of boys, children, and even some men. There are women who would physically abuse men and mentally abuse them. But being men and being having to be macho, we don't come out and say this is so. And we wouldn't, even as boys, you feel great that, you know, a big woman take interest in you. But what I'm trying to get to is that is a subject that should be addressed alongside of the women, the part of female rape and stuff like that, even though it's not reported. And a lot of times it's not reported because we fear the laughter of our fellow men and women, you know, you putting you down because you're a man and you letting a woman do it to you. But I would like to hear that addressed a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, caller. Since my years in the Guyana Police Force, I've came across about two reports where female rape men. The matter went to court, but the men never turn up. And I know of a woman abusing her husband. He did went to court. She was fined because he said he don't want her to be incarcerated. She was fined. Eventually, they separated. But I think what happened with society when you're coming up as a youngster and you cry, person said, why you crying? You want to be a sissy? You're a man. Stop crying. Stand up. Men don't cry. But we have to realize we're only human and we have feelings. And there's nothing wrong with men crying because the Bible would tell you Jesus wept. He cried also. So it is okay for a man to cry. If you go to a funeral, they're telling man, don't cry. You have feeling, you have to show out your expression there. Persons, I think, men don't want to look small in society because you realize that his peers the men peers would look down on him and said, how you know she beat you by? And you going to court for she and that kind of thing? I would have dropped some slap and kicking she. But some men didn't grow that way. And we look at men and tell them, don't cry, men don't cry, big men don't cry, little boys don't cry, because if somebody beats you, you cry. If somebody beats you up, don't come with your sissy self. But people have feelings, they have to cry. And persons don't want to come out and talk when they're being violated, their rights being violated, because there is nothing in law stop a man of coming to the station to make a report that your wife assaults you, your wife beat you up. The same action we take against the man, the same action we take against the woman. Because I had a case of recent 2 weeks where the husband and wife is continuous fighting. I keep one at Anna Regina, send one to rural. The same way he been incarcerated, the same way she been incarcerated. When they go before the court, I said, domestic violence, I'm not putting nobody on bail because it could lead to murder. So both parties, when they charge and go before the court, they tell the magistrate they don't want any matter. Right there, Miss Carvin take both of them and start counseling them. But it's okay.
So some intervention
Yeah.
came out of that.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's okay for men to come and make report. You're free to do that.
And our ranks, particularly in your district, prepare to deal with that, particularly when the men do come. Oftentimes, some people say, well, they don't want to go because the police man or the policewoman laugh them and say, by you soft, by you stupid, you take and beat up, and there's a whole thing, so they feel ashamed. And I think, hearing some of those stories is what would cause some people to not go, even though in their case it might have been different, the reaction. But our ranks are trained to deal with these issues,
Yes,
irrespective of the gender.
Yes, you have ranks trained to deal with domestic violence. Once you pass through the training school, you get that training. And at the end of the day, once you're successful, they give you a certificate in domestic violence.
All right. Let's see if we're going to be able to fit in a couple more callers. We got a call in line. Good evening to you. Welcome to the Police and You.
Good evening to you, sir.
Yes, good evening.
It's good to know that, the Ghana Police Force is hosting such a platform for the public to actually have access to ask some questions that might be bothering us and otherwise we not be able to ask. However, my question tonight to the commander is this. What is the duration or the process that when a policeman is to be reinstated back into the Ghana Police Force? What is the process?
Were they interdicted or they leave off their own? Which one?
Excuse me?
Were the police, is the police being interdicted?
Yes.
Or,
Interdicted rank. What is the process?
the rank was
be reinstated back.
the rank was charged and placed before the court?
Won his case. The person has won their case. Is being charged and was won their case. So what is the duration now?
Well,
Or the process to being reinstated back.
You don't have a specific time to reinstate persons, because what happened? When you finish at the court, it has to go back through the process and go all the way to let the Deputy Commissioner of Administration and the Commissioner know that you were free from the charges. And it's okay now, leave up to the police whether they want to reinstate you or not. But what I would advise persons, when your matter finish, start following the file. Go to headquarters, you talk. Now Mr. Brutus is in that position now, you're going to talk to him, and he would decide with the commissioner whether they will reinstate you or not.
So there is no guarantee if somebody would have won their case for that rank that has the legal right to be reinstated back? There is no guarantee?
Yes, there is guarantee. Depends on the matter that you're being charged for. There is guarantee.
Right. So my question was, what is the duration? How long would it take when the person would have won their matter in court? What is the next step?
Well, I'm saying it has no duration, because some person will get reinstated within 3 months. Some person will wait for years, and people will be back and forth. Just depends on the force administration. Because, for instance, if you're being charged and you have a charge, where we said free public interest. If the public shows so much interest in a matter, the force doesn't have to reinstate you. They just don't have to reinstate you.
But I am not talking about in a situation where the public has shown any interest. This question that I asked is if the person would have won, and you said that there is guarantee, there is some legality that the person should be reinstated back into the Guyana police force, and I was asking the process, and you actually told me, if I understand what you are saying, is that there is no fixed duration. It can take 3 months, it can take 3 years, it can take 5 years. Why would that be? Is there any form of a document that has to be prepared to go maybe to the commissioner, to, I don't know, the commander? What really is the process that would take you 3 months or 3 years for somebody? Because remember, this is somebody's life that is at stake here. The person may have bills to pay, children to mind, and then I want to believe that the Ghana Police Force is responsible enough to know that we would quickly like to reinstate a good staff who has not done perhaps some major crime. Something, it might be something that is, very simple, because it depends to me on the matter that the person had perhaps before the court. And I think if it is something simple, this is just my position on the matter, that, perhaps the commissioner, I don't know who may have the last say, perhaps I want to be the commissioner, that if the file or whatever has been prepared, or who has the right to prepare the file, how long would they take to prepare the file so that this person can be reinstated and their life can continue and be comfortable to live with, because they have been working and serving this country.
I'll tell you what, thanks to that, what I can do, because I believe it's something that is fluid, but to be able to get the more definitive answer on this,
Exactly.
I will raise it with the Commissioner of Police and the Deputy Commissioner in charge of administration.
Hear that?
Yes, so that on the next program, next Tuesday evening, we will have an answer for you.
I'd appreciate that, because remember, this person has been served in our country, and we want to know that we are treating these servicemen, with some form of respect and, showing that we care for them, because they throw their life on the line. And if a simple matter has happened, then I want to believe, you will move with it with a little more,
Alacrity,
speed.
correct.
Well, this person could get back their normal life. They may have children to take care of and all of that.
Uh-huh.
So I appreciate it very much. If next week you say, come on, may I ask?
This is Stan Gavaya.
Oh, Mr. Sangovais, I'm looking forward to having a call-in.
Definitely. As a matter of fact, when I come on, you can hold me to that. When I come on the program next week, it's the first thing I'm going to address.
I appreciate it.
Get your
Mr.
answer.
Sangovais.
She could be,
Or if I can come to your office, right? 'Cause
Definitely.
it's really
you could
Definitely.
even advise the
Thank you.
person to go and see. No, I'm saying you could advise the person to go and see Mr. Brutus.
Mr. Brutus,
Yes, who is in charge of administration at the Guyana Police Force.
I appreciate that very much. You have a great evening.
Thanks
You're
for coming
welcome.
through.
Forward to such programs continuing in Guyana. Have a great evening and keep safe. Bye-bye for now.
Okay then. Bye. All right. We got just funny how time flies, and having this conversation. So, this juncture, I want to say to you, Commander, be on standby. That I'll be inviting you to come again. I know you don't necessarily like to come out to your region, because you've got lots to do there to make sure you maintain peace, law, and order. But we'll definitely would like to have you come back again. And as we get ready to, wrap things up, I wanted you to be able to say to those persons across the region who don't know how to contact the commander. Oftentimes you find, for example, there's some people might say, well, I went to report this matter and I feel the police ain't doing enough for me, or that kind of thing. And I want to talk to somebody bigger, and in some cases they get no direction. Obviously, they'd probably want to talk to you, or they'd want to talk to one of your senior admin officers.
Well,
How do they
Stan-
find you?
Stan, I have an open door policy. Nobody has to make an appointment to see me. If you're not satisfied with the police, you come straight to my office, talk to my secretary, she enter you into the book, and straight into my office. And now what the administration of force is doing, everybody numbers out there, and they're free to call me, because persons call me so often, not just from Essequibo, the regions that I worked before. They were called for advice, they would talk to them. Sometimes people feel depressed, they could call me, I'll talk to them.
And your number?
685-9006.
6859006, or your office, which is down at Anna
And
Regina,
Regina.
the regional headquarters.
Yes, well, don't worry, the landline, since I'm there, the phone never ring. The lines there not working.
You're hitting the telephone, people there, man. And of course, Commander, I want to say thank you very much for spending some time with us on the program tonight. And again, let me reiterate, I'd like to have you back. And maybe on a panel where we can discuss and flesh out some of the issues, particularly as it relates to sexual offences, which is a very touchy subject in the very near future. I know we're getting ready for the anniversary of the Ghana Police Force in a new month, and it should be sometime in that month because it's going to be one of the focus and going forward some of the strategies. So I'd like to have you back on that panel.
You're welcome, Stan.
And thanks for being here tonight.
Okay.
All right, and of course, to all those of you who've been in tune, a very big thank you for joining us on the Police and You tonight. It's been a pleasure keeping you company. On the program tonight has been the Commander of Regional Division 2, none other than Commander Woman Superintendent Crystal Robinson, and I am Stan Gavai, your host, on behalf of Simeon Brown of the Corporate Communications Unit and the technical staff at NCN, saying thanks for joining us. Good night.